Hello, everyone. Welcome to Stories That Work. I am Melody Ann, the founder of Nutritious Truth and your host, where we help businesses who give a damn tell stories that matter. And today I want to talk about testimonial videos and how to integrate story into them. To do that, I have a guest. Jen Shanse is passionate about story, small business, and adventure, and she loves helping entrepreneurs explore the world of video marketing. She is the founder of UpperStory Films, a production company dedicated to making cinematic promotional videos for small businesses and nonprofits. Her background is in travel and independent film, and her credits include director, cinematographer for documentary One Frame at a Time, shot on the Thai-Burma border, and cinematographer/editor with Coastal Television in Cape Coast, Ghana. Jen has a degree in film and creative writing from UBC and is a previous president of the BC Professional Videographers Association. Welcome, Jen.
Thank
How are you
you
today?
very much. Good.
Good. Now I know you have a baby under 2 who I'm hoping is still sleeping.
Yes.
Yes,
For the moment.
that's brilliant. Yeah, but thank you so much for getting up while your baby's sleeping, because moms with babies under 2 generally should sleep when baby's sleeping. Right?
Try to sleep when the baby sleeps. It doesn't work all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for taking the time. I know how busy you are right now with running a business and having a baby under 2. Kudos to you. Okay. Let's dig in. Let's start with the basics. I know you talk about video vitals. So what are the video vitals for testimonials?
Video vitals really pertain to kind of almost any video you'll do, but particularly testimonial videos. They help keep you on track. And your vitals are your purpose, your key points, and your audience. Your purpose is your why, your basic reason for making this video. So it could be, the big one we usually get is increasing sales or increasing customers.
Right.
Your key points are a couple of key points that you want to make sure are getting through in your video that support that purpose. So in the case of increasing your sales, you probably want to be looking at your unique selling point, why your customers love you, why they're choosing you, why they're, doing business with you. And you can say that a couple of times in your video. The great thing about testimonials is they'll be saying your unique selling point in their own words. So yeah, it might get repeated, and that's good. Finally, your
Yeah.
audience. Your audience for your video is like a specific audience, and you want to make sure that they're resonating with what's being said in the video. And one way to do that is to make sure that your testimonials are being pulled from that audience, so they're seeing themselves on screen. And if you can't do that, then some other way of addressing them in the video so that they feel like they're being spoken to through that testimonial video. Those are your vitals: your purpose, your key
Excellent.
points, your audience.
Thank you. Now, aren't video, like testimonial videos, aren't they really just a form of a customer story?
They are, for sure. It's like a customer success story, really. You're getting your customer's story of what happened, what life was like before meeting this organization, what life was like, why choosing them, how it was like working with them, and then the outcome of like what life was like after, and how awesome it is. But it's also your brand story, or a piece of your brand story, because they're telling the story of your organization. So they're very deeply entwined. And actually, in the video we're about to show, you'll get a really good example of this. The very first person who speaks is telling his customer story, but it's the brand story. It's the reason for why Critter Care, the organization we did the video for, why that exists. So it's a good example we're about to see.
Okay, excellent. And talking about that, let's see it. So this is Critter Care, did you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Here we go. A testimonial video about Critter Care.
I was just on a stroll down at Crescent Beach, and everybody was looking at this beached beaver that looked like it was in distress. We called the SPCA, said, no, sorry, we can't help. So we called BC Wildlife. After about 6 of these calls, finally got a hold of Critter Care, and in less time than it took me to get a hold of them, they made their way to Crescent Beach from Langley.
It's a place for the general public to come when they come across an animal in distress. Because if we weren't here, there's no place else to take them.
We're the only mammal organization in southern British Columbia that just rehabs our native mammals. It's nice to know there's somebody's helping these little ones.
They definitely fill in a big void.
Right.
Otherwise, what's going to happen? Yeah.
If Critter Care did not exist, 2,000 animals a year would die on top of what already does. So if you add that over 35 years, it's a lot of animals I've saved.
The animals are suffering out there because mankind and fires are taking away their habitat, and that's just not right.
And unfortunately, when they start doing all this building, it always seems to be in baby season.
You know, mama bear gets either euthanized or hit by a vehicle. The cub is now orphaned or injured or both.
Mammals need to be nurtured when they're small, and so the interns nurture them until they're weaned, and then that contact diminishes. They're just cleaned and fed.
They have to hate us when they leave, and that's why we don't allow anybody to see the animals. No playing with them. They have to turn wild, which they do if we follow those protocols. The only time that the general public can see the animals is in July when there's babies and they're not susceptible so much to the human imprint.
So we made a point to go to the open house in July, and we got into one of the tours, and the tours are actually, you don't see any animals.
Right.
And it's like, if these guys can fill the place with kids and people having fun, and you still don't get to see any animals, then these are the people we want to support.
Right.
Most of their revenue stream is from donations, and they maximize their volunteering and interns, and they also rely heavily on donations for food and medicine and medical care and so on.
Critter Care's local. They're right here. They're really nice to deal with. We have a girls' night out, and the proceeds of both of those nights go to Critter Care. And the girls come in, set up a table. They're there to explain what Critter Care is all about and sign people up. And
There are some businesses out there that are just absolutely wonderful, and that's what we need.
Without the donors, we wouldn't be able to operate, right? Critter Care wouldn't exist.
We may not say it enough. We try to say it, but we are so grateful for them because we would not be here without them. Literally.
If you have the capacity and you have care and compassion for the critters, this is the easy place, the right place to do it.
These animals are our native heritage. What is here today can be gone tomorrow, and every life is a miracle. Every life deserves a second chance.
if you're a business owner and you're holding an event, these guys, just find a table for these guys. They'll look after everything for you. And it really helps, and it makes everybody more aware of what they do in the community. And it's a great help to Critter Care.
And a good feeling.
Yeah, and a very good feeling.
Okay, so much going on. So many questions popping into my mind. So much emotion. Like a couple of times you could see people getting emotional in the video, and that's something I talk about story all the time. But my first question, I think, is nobody was asking questions. So how did that happen?
I was asking the questions in the interviews, and I never keep my voice in there for a couple of reasons, but time is a big thing. You want these videos as short and sweet as possible. So you need to make sure that everything you're putting in the video is there for a reason. And asking the questions doesn't serve any purpose. Also, when you're editing, I mean, you're taking those 10-second bits from like an interview might give a 5-minute answer. You're taking 10 seconds out of that and putting it next to another clip. So the story, telling that story, if you have the questions in there, it's going to break up the flow and it's just going to waste some time. The questions are a tool that you use to get the story out, but they're they're not useful for the final video.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So there are questions, you are asking questions, and you're helping guide people through it. But the questions aren't the important part. So you can just take those out and the story can stand by itself, right? That makes perfect sense. So I noticed that some of it was stock, and I know you filmed this. So some of it was kind of stock video that you obviously went in and just did some video, and then there are voiceovers. But what I love is a lot of it is just people sitting somewhere outside or sitting somewhere inside or just standing somewhere and talking. So that's it's not some big studio setup. And I think that's really important to say. Our testimonial videos don't have to have like, you know, this expensive studio setting. I mean, in fact, are they better when we just have people kind of hanging out and chatting? Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, authenticity is extremely important when you're doing testimonial videos. I mean, that's what's selling it is, you know, you have somebody who's just a normal person, who's just like you, who's the audience, you know, working and talking and telling their story. So, you know, just whipping out your phone and grabbing that, you want it to be lit well enough so that you can see what's going on, and you want the audio to be good. You want to be able to hear them clearly and understand them. So don't want any like loud background noise that's gonna interfere with that. But other than that, you want the authenticity. And you know, if it is overproduced and a little too glamorous, then you're kind of cutting into that authenticity a bit. So we actually encourage clients, like Critter Care was a great example. They had a wealth of B-roll footage. B-roll is, you know, just all the shots of the animal. So your A-roll is your interview, which is the most important part, and then your B-roll kind of is what you'd lay over top of it without sound just to support it. They had tons of B-roll of all these animals, and we were happy to use that. And we came in and just filmed the interviews. But we're happy to work with clients who even have, you know, testimonials already shot. They're not too sure exactly what to do with it. They'll send it to us for editing. And we'll usually sit down with them to start with, though, and make sure that we know what the plan is for their video. So we get their vitals down and figure out, you know, exactly what is the purpose, what are we doing this for, who are we doing it for, and then guide them through the whole process to make sure that the story of the video is going to serve their purpose in that moment.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So testimonial videos don't necessarily have to be incredibly expensive. Like some of the, you know, I know you do like cinematic promotional videos, and I can imagine those can get expensive. But testimonial videos, someone could come to you. I'm assuming you have some questions, and then they can do the shooting. And then you said something about they spoke for 5 minutes. I chose 10 seconds, right?
10 seconds.
So, you know, having a really good editor who understands story and how to weave it can be really, really helpful. What are some of the, like, can you give us a couple of questions just to get us started?
Yeah, I mean, for a testimonial video, after your vitals, the questions that you ask are actually the most important thing. So you really want to get your customer story out. What was life like before working with this organization? You know, why did I choose this organization? What was it like working with the organization? And then what was the outcome? What's life like now afterwards? So you really get the full arc. But another question I like to ask as well is, you know, were you hesitant at all working with this organization or even overcoming this problem that you had? Because your potential clients, if that's what your audience is going to be, they might be having those same reservations. And there's nothing more, you know, powerful than hearing somebody else talk about, you know, I was holding myself back because I was afraid of this, and then I worked with this organization and it was awesome. That's can be really motivating for someone to hear, and if they're resonating with the person. So that's a big question that I like to add, and I don't always use the answer because you never know what you're going to get. But again, the questions are the tools to kind of pull out those answers. And yeah, again, you're going to get a 5-minute answer. You do not want to use all of it. When you want to pull out the gems, the little bits that really like hit you, and it's like, oh man. And rarely do they say it, you know, as soon as they start talking. they'll start to get into the answer. They'll start to remember what they're saying. They'll start to, like, you know, really get into their story, and then the powerful stuff will come out. And that's the little bits you want to really pull out and match with other little bits that they've said somewhere else in the interview to really kind of pull that story together and make it concise, and make it strong.
Yeah. So edit out the thinking out loud.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So another thing I thought about this video, so Critter Care, they have a number of clients or stakeholders, right? And so this actually is for one specific stakeholder. It's not for everyone. You know, if a teacher saw this, they're not going to go, oh, I'm going to take my kids to Critter Care for education, because it's not for them, right? And so can you speak, and I notice sometimes people tell stories, they kind of get everything, they want to put everything into one story.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
so much better to just parse it out into many stories. Can you speak a little bit about this video in terms of that?
Yeah, I mean, we're coming back again to the video vitals. You've got one purpose for your video. And it's funny because I get it. Some people, you need to do what you can, and this video ended up actually having two purposes. So we made the video originally to show at their gala, their 20th anniversary gala, and so it was their audience was a room full of potential donors and previous donors that they wanted to kind of reinvigorate. But it was their 20th anniversary, so they really wanted to tell the story of Critter Care. But then they wanted, once that video is done and the night's over, they had this video that they want to be able to use again. So we ended up changing the ending of it. And this one is dedicated specifically to encouraging business donors. So the beginning is all about, here's our unique selling point. Here's what we're important. Here's, the story of working with us and why we're so crucial in this community. And now here's, business owners talking about why it's really important to, work with them, and how easy it is to work with them, and, how good they feel about working with them. So kind of it moved nicely, the story, into that. Then we could also do another video that was more generalized for their website for general donors. So again, in the planning, we knew we were going to do this. We knew we wanted to use the video beyond just the gala. But yeah, you want your video to have a purpose. And you want everything to focus towards that purpose. So, you don't want to be saying, I want to use this for schools, and I also want to use this for donors, and I also want to be able to send this to like the government, or whatever that for a grant. Or you want to be able to have a specific audience in mind when you're making the video and talk to them, because you can't talk to everybody. Not everyone's going to be moved by it. So when you need them, and you need that person in your mind when you're making the video.
Yes, you can't talk to everyone all at once. I'm going to keep repeating that because it's so important, and we get lost. Everyone, we get lost because there are so many stories to tell. And so it's hard to, kind of narrow that down, right? Jen, are we missing anything else? Like, is there anything that I didn't ask you that's important about testimonial videos?
No, I think that really covers it. I mean, your video vitals, if you got those down, if you got your questions and you're using them as a tool, and the story that you want to tell, and I mean, that's one thing I guess I didn't mention, is choosing the people to be your testimonials is a big thing. Choosing them for a reason. Just again, if they're coming from that audience who's watching it, but going into it, kind of knowing what their story is and what they're going to say and how you're going to use it, you can kind of plan that out. It's what you get in the material is always going to be a little bit different, but the planning is really, really, really important to putting it all together in the end in that story.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And where can people reach you? I have put your website here, UpperStoryFilms.com. And that will be in the description as well. So is that the best way? Just reach out on your website?
Yeah, you can email me, engage@UpperStoryFilms.com. We are more than happy to do free consultations if you have any questions about testimonials. Whether or not we work together, I could talk about this stuff all day. So
yeah, I do like what you said, though, right? You can give them a set of questions. You can help them figure out who they want to pick. They can actually do the filming, send it to you, and you can edit it. And then they can have several kind of customer success story testimonial videos that they can then use social media, right, on their website, all of those, YouTube, all of those good places. Thank you, Jen, so much for coming today. I really, really appreciated you and all your, really knowledgeable information, and getting up so early when Babes is still sleeping.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's been great.
All right. And everyone else, I'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of